Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. I am Laura Lalaki, international real estate agent, and your host for today. In this episode, we're diving into a very hot topic. It is the recent assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. There's a whirlwind, a whirlwind of conspiracy theories surrounding this event. And some are claiming that it was staged. Others suggest that Joe Biden orchestrated the hits. These speculations have taken over social media, and particularly on platforms like X, formerly known as Twitter. So joining me today, I have some beautiful and awesome sisters here who are my co-queens, and they're going to help me unpack some of these theories. And today we have Erica Renee, author of Faith in Transaction, Athena Gardner, our CPA and wealth coach, Marlo Layson, our journalist and TV producer, and Lindsay Vertner, international mindset coach and speaker. We got a lot to say. And first, I want to actually bring up some of the images that were put out during this event that had happened, so that we can kind of get an overview of what we saw as the public as it was unfolding. I literally was watching as it was happening and wasn't quite sure how to react. It was another one of those life moments where I had a shock. So if we can bring up some of those images of what happened, and I want to get some initial thoughts from my queens. And we're definitely going to start with we'll start with you, Erica, today. What are So what are some of your thoughts when you first heard it?
I thought it was a rumor, to be honest. I was going about my day, and you know how there were so many. We had a lot of celebrity deaths that happened over the course of the weekend, and honestly, I thought it was a rumor. And in the past over years, you get those death rumors. So and so passed away, but it was a rumor. It was something fake, and I didn't really pay attention to it until I happened to see it just kept repeating itself on TikTok, and then saw the live footage, and it once I watched it, I said, "Oh my God, okay, this is serious." But in the beginning, I'm thinking, "Is this edited?" Because it looked like people in the back behind him were not ducking, were not moving, were not. But then you couldn't really hear the sound of shots. So I was really confused until I started. Me in a deep dive. I do a deep dive until I started doing a deep dive, and I'm like, "Oh my God, this really happened," and it's scary because it looks like we are repeating some history. We are approaching some changes and challenges, and I just think we need to be ready for a lot, because this could definitely happen again.
I agree. And we already have a lot of people who are in the audience and kind of watching. I know this is a hot topic, but I'm posing the same question to you. Like, what were your initial thoughts? What are your thoughts on this whole thing around this attempted assassination? I'd love to hear what you have to say with us as well. Athena, what were your initial thoughts? Where were you?
Okay, so I was at home when all of this went down, and I actually was on the phone with someone, and they told me, "Oh my God, Trump got shot." So I went online and I looked it up. Now, my initial thoughts seeing the video, I don't know, some people might flog me for this, some people might flog me for this, but I was just like, is this happening for real? Because if someone really wanted to shoot him, how come he didn't penetrate? Like, how did it just graze? Like, I felt like, it should have went all the way through. I don't know. I felt like it would have been more difficult to graze someone than to, especially where it was supposed to hit. How did not hit his brain? I was also confused by, like you said, everyone's reaction. Like, I don't know, maybe because it's mostly white people in the audience. Black people, we hear a shot, we don't, we scatter, like, everyone's out the building really cool. We don't need too much, direction now, it's time to leave the premises. So I was also shocked by that. And then the fact that he had the response that he had, because if I just got shot, do I have time to pump a fist up? Do I have time to, make a scene out of that? Or is that like a symptom of like his high level of being a megalomaniac? I don't know, but those were my initial thoughts.
I think it was definitely chaotic for sure. Lindsay, what about you? What were your initial thoughts?
I share a lot of the same sentiments. I know I had just woken up from a nap whenever I was scrolling my social media, and the first video I saw, it was just a video, I guess, of where they were carrying someone out, but the video didn't have any caption to it. And I was like, what is this? And why is she posting it? Because it was kind of out of the norm of the person that on the feed that I was looking at. And I was like, what is this? So then I scrolled to the next, just all right, whatever. I scroll on to the next, and then I see the video of Trump, like a little clip of that. And my first thought is like, what is he doing? I had no idea that the two videos were connected, but I was like, what is he doing? And it's still, there was no caption to it. And so then I scroll some more, and then I start seeing all of the clips, and I'm like, oh, that's what happened. Why does it feel like I'm watching something? I'll save that part. I'm watching something different than reality. I was just kind of like, I don't know. I'll save my thoughts for the show because I know we're about to dive all up in it. But yeah, that's what happened whenever I first saw it, and I was just very confused.
Well, it is a confusing thing. I think as everything was unfolding, we just wasn't sure what's happening. But that's what happens in reality. I feel in America we always want an instant answer, but you never know how things are going to go in life. But here is a clear picture of him pumping his fist after the shot was fired. And then he was whisked away by Secret Service. But Marlo, you are a TV journalist, a producer. So what were your thoughts on this immediately as it was unfolding?
Well, I actually had a teammate. I was in weekend mode, so I actually had a team member send me a flurry of text messages like they shot at Trump and he's bleeding, and like she just was firing off a flurry of text messages and really asking me for guidance in how to encapsulate that, where to get that content from. And so that's how I find out about it. We checked it out on the TV. We got the live coverage. I was as confused as everyone else. But I would say my main thing was like, how did a firearm make its way to such a secure location? That was my initial reaction. Like, how? Where did this come from? Where was the gun? Where was the reported gunman? Just because those are high security events, and it's very, like once you get in, you can't leave. I know that Trump, because of the things that he is in charge of championing on the right, I know that he likes a little bit of lax security because he does play the strong man in these American politics. And so there is a method to this madness. I'm anxious to see when all the reports come out, how many times people butted protocol because that's what he wanted them to do. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for how many times that people circumvent what they are normally required to do in their jobs that they didn't do because the campaign said so, to accommodate the part of the populace that the Trump circus tends to kind of aggravate or agitate or awaken, if you will. So that's
I
me.
find the entry that you use.
I got to keep my black job, so I can't say too much, y'all.
Well, here I got you guys' reaction, but I'm going to tell you that I'm angry. I'm really pissed off, and I have been very quiet about what has unfolded because I want to wait. I don't want to be a part of the frenzy of the madness of what's going on because everyone wants to hurry up and say something like they know someone before someone else. It's a rating thing when I want to know the truth. How could this have happened in the United States of America? We know we have had these things happen in the past. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Trump, and y'all know I can't stand the man. But I'm going to tell you right now, I never would wish this on anyone and their families. Not one iota. The fact that this happened in our country shows you that this is disgusting. And this is beneath us. We've lived it before. We know how we all feel about the things that have happened in the past. How could we have possibly let this happen again? And I'm going to wait. I'm going to sit back because I know that the story is going to unfold. And when it unfolds, we're going to find out things that we didn't know. Now, will we find out everything? No, because we've never really found out everything on past presidents. So we know that it happened to Reagan. We know that it happened to John F. Kennedy. We know we lost Martin Luther King. We know that we lost Malcolm X. This is something that should disgust all Americans, period. And that's how I feel about it. And that anger is just really raging in me right now that we have to deal with this, because I think things are being put into place to hide other things. And here's where I'm going to throw out my theory. A lot of things that do happen like this, there's a smoke screen going on behind. And if you ask me, Project 2025 is a part of the smoke screen that's being covered up right now. Breathe, Lala, breathe. So let's talk about some of the comments that we have right now, because we do have a lot of people in the room. Melkin Huger says, fiction as this is bigger than we think and it's not over. So get your popcorn because the show is about to start. This is what happens living in America. Always some bullshit. And I did say that word because it needs to be said. We do have some people who are saying good morning. We're thankful that you're here. Thank you. Please join the conversation. We also have someone that says, hold on to your chairs for this episode and make sure you hit that like button. I know that's a thing, all right? So please do that. And then Danette also says, I was shocked, wondering if the situation was real. Now, that's one thing that I want to talk to you ladies about. When things are happening in real time, such as the Space Challenger, and we're all sitting there and we're so used to seeing things that are not real or some type of movie or some type of blockbuster, when things like this happen, I think it's a little hard for our spirits to accept it quickly. So, Erica, I'm going to throw that to you. What are your thoughts on that? Is that, like this was happening in real time, but it just kind of played in like slow motion. Do you find that was an experience for you?
I think what's happening is that we've been living in false reality for so long. We have been living for every meme. We've been living for AI. We've been living for BBLs. We've been living for everything related to falsehood for the last 10 or 15 years, so that when something happens that's reality in real time right in your face, you almost don't know how to perceive it. It's almost, like, oh, it's got to be fake. No, bullets are real. This man was shot, and unfortunately, 2 other people lost their lives. 2 people with families lost their lives. It's disheartening that this is happening in our country. But as you stated earlier, yes, this was 43 years ago. This happened to Ronald Reagan. Now, what we need to do is look at when Reagan was shot. Let's go back to 43 years ago. What laws and what things were put into place that we were distracted by because we were looking at his security detail that had been shot and injured, and all the press that got. Looking at Reagan and his situation, and now he was able to heal and be safe. There were so many things that happened those 43 years ago that we weren't aware of, and then boom, we have new policies and procedures that have been presented to us, but we were more concerned about the shooting itself. So I really think we need to start focusing on, let's get out of this AI world. Let's get out of this living in the world of Bitcoin and all of these fictitious transactions. We have been living in such a false reality for so long that we really need to just stop ourselves and say, wait, halt, let's get back to what it is at hand. It's just gotten ridiculous.
Yeah, because everything is not a reality show. This is real life. If you're just now joining us, you are watching Fly Nubian Money. We are here Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You don't want to miss the conversation. As you can see, we deal with a lot of hot topics that are going on, and we always love to hear your conversation. If you do miss us, you can also catch us on Spotify very easily. Go on over there and look up Fly Nubian Money so that you can take us on the road with you. And if you see that we are giving some passion today on this conversation and you would like to engage in some of that passion, maybe you have what it takes to be a guest queen or you would like to join us, all you have to do is to email us at info@realvirtual.net. And I'm going to spell that info@REELVIRTUAL.net. And then always, you can text the word Queens to 87948 to get great resources and to be notified when we're live. Let's get back to this really serious conversation. All right, Athena, I'm going to ask you, why do you think so many people were so quick to label this as staged?
Well, I think to answer that question, we actually have to go into the psychology of people. And I actually did pull a stat because, I'm an educated queen. So according to the American Psychological Association, the APA, they did a study about what drives conspiracy theorists. And they basically said that despite what people think of conspiracy theorists, is that conspiracy theorists are not likely to be simple-minded, mentally unwell folks, a portrait which is routinely painted in popular culture. Instead, many turn to conspiracy theories to fulfill deprived motivational needs and to make sense of distress and impairment. So with everything that has happened with Trump and election, people were already feeling stressed about the election to begin with between the two candidates. I think that mentally, in order to make sense of the chaos that is going on, we are reaching on both sides to different conspiracy theories. One of the theories saying that it was staged and, he didn't really get shot, or somebody hired that guy to do that, or that the Democrats were behind it. I think people are just trying to make sense of what is very unknown and the chaotic so that they can, have some sort of stability mentally. Because I have to be honest with you right now, with everything that has gone on with this election prior and up until what just happened with Trump, I do feel a sense of unease, a sense of there's no stability in the country. And I kind of had to disassociate myself from a lot of what is going on just to kind of keep my day-to-day together. So I can only imagine the average American or even international audience watching us right now.
I literally stayed off social media Sunday. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to feed into it. I didn't want to continue to see what was going on. And one thing that made me make that decision was immediately they were interviewing people who were there as it just happened, real time. And the first thing out of people's mouths were such as Barack Obama was behind this. The Democrats were behind this. Instead of worrying about humanity over anything, the blame was quick. And that is what is upsetting to me, because what are your thoughts for real? Like, this is no joke. This is someone's life that we're talking about. I don't care, like I said, I don't care who you are. It's someone's life at stake. And it just bothered me so much. So I'm going to go to some of the comments, but I'm also asking you guys, do you think that this was is a conspiracy? Do you believe that this was staged? I would love to hear your thoughts on that. It's the craziest thing right now, and I still feel like we're living in kind of a fantasy land on how we're hearing this news. Arthur Booker said everything is a stage of ruling masquerade since the days of Lincoln and Washington. I think that's a very interesting comment, and I would like to hear you expand on that a little bit more. T says Trump is attempting to appeal to the humanity of those who are not on his side. Kennedy won by human appeal. He has angered so many. What better way to try to appeal to their sympathy? I also think that is a very valid point as well. And Danette said, I was shocked, wondering if the situation was real. I think that's a lot of what we were thinking about as well. So, Lindsay, I wanted to know, what do you think? How do you think historical events like this, like the assassination of JFK, influence current conspiracy theories? Because you and I both know people are still talking about the JFK and how it's a conspiracy. And it wasn't until just recently, a few years ago, that they released some of those documents to go back to, and we're still debating that. So how do you think that that compares to today's conspiracies?
Yeah, so I think we have to remember that Trump has a background in business and he has a background in reality TV. So with this situation, he has definitely figured out a way to solidify him into America's history books once again. But we also have to keep in mind that multiple things can be true at the same time. So whether you believe it's fake or not, you can have empathy and understand that people have passed away as a result of this incident and still it be staged. Because if we think about the fabric of America, what was woven into the fabric of America, America was built on violence. I mean, slavery has entered the chat, right? People have been casualties for personal gain and political gain for as long as America has been around. So there is a whole possibility that it could have been staged for political gain. And yes, we can still have empathy for the victims that passed away as a result, but we also know that history repeats itself. And so if we don't learn from the past and change things, it'll just keep running the cycle and people will learn how to do that same thing, but do it better. So let's just assume it was staged. I'm not saying it was, I'm not saying it wasn't, but let's assume it was. Okay, how can I have this assassination attempt but live to see another day and still make the whole spectacle and all of the things? So there's just a lot of things to consider, especially when we remember that two things can be true at the same time, which I think a lot of people are forgetting when they're saying, well, it can't possibly be staged because people died. People have always died. There have always been casualties of war of any kind. So that doesn't negate the other potential.
I agree. And they always say there's always 3 or 4 stories to one event, right? There's always different perspectives on which side. G-Man said it really looks staged, but at this point, he would do anything to stay out of jail, and his billionaire supporters would as well. Valid point. James says, every person in my family believes it's staged. Trump is a master of deceit and deception, or deception and deceit. And Marlo, I have a question for you because you're definitely in the realm of journalism. So what role does media and social media play in amplifying these kinds of speculations? Because today I did take a stroll down social media to see what people were saying, and it's all over the board, but all over the board doing this. Your fault, your fault, your fault, your fault. What is it that you think their role is in this?
That's me not telling the truth. Y'all, the media is about making money, as is Trump, as is America, right? They need to get asses in seats in front of televisions. They need clicks on the internet. That is how my business survives in 2024. So I just went and I literally Googled, was Trump grazed at the rally, right? 6 headlines pop up, all from national outlets. One even though we know that supposedly the teleprompter shattered, and that's what hit his ear. He says he was grazed. The FBI initially said that that shattered glass, is what like cut him and scratched him. Today he's saying he was pierced by a bullet, y'all. He got on his platform, Truth Social, and said he was pierced by a bullet. So a bullet from that gun ain't gonna take a hard right the other way after it pierced. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's not even the logistics of bullets. So part of what is happening with the media is they need clicks. They need people to engage, just like the girl that's selling smoothie body teas, just like the people that are selling the glow lights on Instagram. Everybody is out here chasing this bag, right? So we will never get to what is truth. There will be investigations. There will be finger pointing. There will be news releases saying things, contrary things. And I think that people need to understand that in America, since the beginning, violence has been there. People say, oh, we don't have violence in our politics. What was the Revolutionary War about? Like, we will go to war to get our point across. Trump has been calling for violence for months. He even said it right before the debate. Now, here's the thing. We talked about what's being covered up, what's not being talked about. When was he sentenced? He was supposed to be sentenced before the start of the Republican convention, right? We're not talking about that sentence anymore. We're not talking about those 34 felony counts. We are, as one of the audience member said, we are now humanizing a man who has dehumanized Gold Star families. He has dehumanized war veterans. John McCain, who everybody loved, he got hung up in the helicopter, was captured by the Viet Cong, talked badly about him. And now all of a sudden, he is the hero of his own war epic. So I just want everybody to exercise caution. I want everybody to read all media. I want you to look at the Washington Post, the New York Post, the everything, because the truth is going to be somewhere in all of those stories. There's not going to ever be one absolute truth that comes out about this. And what happened to Donald Trump, the unfortunate thing that happened to the people who were there, who were injured, who were hurt, who were traumatized, but what happened to Donald Trump, I hope that people don't feel like that's a reason that he should be president, is because he now gets to create a circus around what happened to his ear on Saturday afternoon, right? So I just want everybody to caution, look at all the media. Don't isolate anything. Don't sit in your Republican chat, your liberal chat, your whatever. Look around, because it's going to be a mess before it's cleaned up. That's for sure.
I have to agree with that. And that's another thing. You hit on a really important point. If you're sitting in the same room as everyone who thinks like you, you're never going to get the whole story. You need to go outside of your realm, outside of your box. Don't just sit in where everybody else said, no, it's blue. I know it's blue. Girl, it's blue. It's blue. Go to the other room where they're saying, no, it's green. And start really listening to what other people are saying. We had a really good question in the chat. Athena posed a good question. Is this going to give you more empathy toward Trump? And I would love to see some of your comments on that. If you're just joining us, you are watching Fly Nubian Money. We are here Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. We talk about a lot of wonderful things, and I'm always joined by some beautiful queens, and we always have some hot topics going for you. And today we're actually talking about the attempted assassination of former President Trump. And you don't want to miss any of our conversations. So you want to make sure that you text the word Queens, QUEENS, to 87948, and you'll be notified every day of when we go live. And if you want to take us on the road, you can just go ahead and subscribe to us on Spotify as well. Same name, Fly Nubian Money. And then I want to tell you something else. We're looking for people to join us. If you think you got what it takes to join us on the show, make sure that you hit info. You email us at info@realvirtual.net. That's info@realvirtual.net. And one more thing, if you need to get your money in order, because we all do. You can never be too safe when it comes to protecting yourself financially. We have free courses and resources for you on our website at flynubianmoney.com. Now, did you get all that? Because we get ready to jump right on back up into this conversation, because it is definitely hot. We have some information, some conspiracy information that we want to share with you, because we always like to dig into some facts. So here's some things that were coming out right at the same time that this was being announced. It was staged conspiracy. Talk says something fishy and suspicious about Trump assassination attempt, says security expert. And then we have another person who says authorities hunt for clues, but motive of man who tried to assassinate Donald Trump remains elusive. And we are definitely going to talk about that. But I also saw a really good post on Instagram where the gentleman was saying you need to be careful about where you get your information, because a certain news outlet posed it to be a certain way and another news outlet posed it to be a different way to get a different reaction from the public. So you got to be really aware of what you're reading. Are they just trying to get you angry and get you to do a quick emotional thing, or are they really trying to report the truth? So let's actually dig into the shooter. So this gentleman was 20 years old, and it's pretty hard to peg him, guys, because he is Thomas Matthew, and he's 20 years old. And this video here was actually taken from, I think, a high school commencement in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. He was registered as a Republican. However, he was also known to give to a political action committee. So let's read this. Crooks' political leanings were not immediately clear. Records show Crooks was registered as a Republican voter in Pennsylvania, but federal campaign finance reports also show he gave $15 to a progressive political action committee on January 20th, 2021, the day Biden was sworn into office. Crooks graduated from Bethel Park High School in 2022. In a video of the school's graduation ceremony posted online, Crooks can be seen crossing the stage to receive his diploma, appearing slightly of build and wearing glasses. The school district said it will cooperate fully with investigators. His senior year, Crooks was among several students given an award for math and science, so pretty smart, according to the Tribune Review story at the time. And Crooks tried out for the school's rifle team, but was turned away because he was a bad shooter. And this was said by Frederick Mock, a current captain of the team, a few years behind Crooks at the school. So guys, we have conflicting information. Like a lot of the times we hear that, let's dig into the fact that a lot of the times when this happens, Republicans come out immediately and start denouncing gun control, and then you have someone who is registered in their party doing something like this, and then you have him donating to a political party that is others, and it's a little confusing. Erica, what are your thoughts on this?
It leads you to think, where are we as a people? There have been so many mass shootings in the past. My mother and I were talking about the mass shooting that took place several years ago in Connecticut. And there were some people that were talking about that was a conspiracy. It's like, okay, we clearly have a problem. We can't seem to narrow down what the problem is, but there clearly is a problem in this country. What I'd like to focus on, unfortunately, is, okay, we are glad Trump is okay. We don't want anyone to lose their lives, regardless of what your political views are. However, my point is there is something that is about to happen that we are unprepared for. We're clearly unprepared, because instead of us having conversations about what we need as a people, not as Black people, not as white people, but as citizens of this country, instead of us doing that, we're having conversations as Republicans, as Democrats, as independents. No, we need to have a conversation as a people, so whoever is placed in office, we can say, hey, these are the things that we need. Are we going to be okay in this country? Do we have a portal that's open where people can come in and catch us off guard? Because right now, with us being scattered as a people, we are left wide open. And this could be a clear case of Hiroshima happening all over again, and we're taken blindsided because we are unprepared and not focused on the facts and issues at hand.
I agree, but what do we do about it? This is where we are again, where everything, to me, I call it major smoke screen, the magician's rabbit out of the hat thing. I want to address a couple of the comments that we have today. James says, this is America, people, and she has an agenda. They just gave immunity to sitting presidents. What they do today is to pave the way for what they want us to do tomorrow. And with that, I also want to tag on to the fact that the judge down in Florida basically threw out the case against Trump down there. And that just happened within the last couple of hours. I feel to honestly believe that that's not connected, but that's my point of view. Prower Ranger says a journalist picture supposedly caught the bullet flying past his left ear, but his right ear was bleeding. Am I correct about that? I'm going to defer that to Marlo. Marlo, are you shaking your head? Yes.
I mean, I saw the same thing. I wasn't there. I didn't see the unedited footage. I don't believe anything I didn't see the raw footage of. That's my rule. 20 years in doing some type of content creation. If I don't see the raw footage, I don't know what it was. That's just me being honest. But I did see some of those images. And what happens a lot of times is things get transposed. So depending on the type of camera, maybe it actually flipped that image, right? And what we're seeing is real. It just images if you're using a mirrored or a mirrorless camera. I won't get into the schematics on cameras, but depending on the type of camera that you're using, it will flip that image. So I want to split hairs on that, but I did hear that too. And I think a lot of our distrust is because we can't get an honest answer from our elected officials, right? Like you can't, they want to punt the answer. They don't want to give an answer. Or you have the Republicans coming out and saying one thing and they have their talking points. And then you have the undisciplined Democrats. They got 62 messages, right? Depending on how they feel about what's going on. But I think the most important thing is Erica was talking about what do we need as all people, right? I think that what happens in this country is the gun conversation devolves because people want to say get rid of guns. In a country where there are 400 to 450 million firearms that are known, that's not ghost guns, that's not 3D printed guns. Those are guns that have come from a gun manufacturer with a serial number, 400 to 450 million. There are 357 million Americans, men, women, and children. Children not allowed to have guns. So if we take 100 million of those people out, there are about 257 million people, give or take the babies, that can own guns. There's double guns to people. So saying get rid of guns in America is ridiculous, right? We mentioned what happened after Ronald Reagan was shot, the Brady Law, right? That's where we got background checks after Ronald Reagan was shot for you to not just be able to go and buy a gun unfettered, right? So the Brady Law came from that. Will they create another law? Nobody wants to tackle these assault style rifles because nobody wants to tell Americans what types of guns they can and cannot own. And the fact is, you could turn a 9mm into a machine gun with a Glock switch. It's like 4 little pieces, and you can transfer a gun that goes pow, pow, pow to a gun that goes tat, tat. Okay, so we need to have a realistic conversation in this country. And I don't think that Americans as a whole are mature enough or have divested enough from the team of politics to really talk about common sense. How do we get back to a place where America builds things? How do we get back to a place where America has more exports than imports? How do we get back to that America? I mean, it wasn't always great, right? Everybody wasn't invited within it, things to the table, but there was a time when America created things. I think that it's going to be hard to have that conversation. But if you're talking about banning guns, 2/3 of the country will close their ears, and you're not going to ever get a good conversation relative to that. So good luck. Good luck, us.
You know, I found that interesting, yes, because many of us on here have expressed we are gun owners. We have experience with that as well. And I believe that everybody has a right to be a gun owner, but I also believe that we all need stricter laws on that as well. You have to take a license to drive. You really should be able to have some type of control on that as well. I'm a real estate agent, baby. Let me not take my continuing education classes. I won't be selling real estate long. So this is such a simple thing that we all can do. But I want to address Rodine Frazier's comment. We did put it up once, but I want to do it again. Real or staged? I think we really need to examine the amount of greed and fear mongering going on that perpetrates certain conspiracy theories and emboldens people to act. Wow, that is a mouthful. But let's also look at more things, because you see, things like this don't just affect one thing. This is just not a Republican Democrat thing. This is also a worldwide thing. This is a financial market thing that's getting ready to happen. So Athena, how is this going to affect some of our markets when the world is watching?
Thank you for asking that. And I was actually thinking about that as well. America, regardless of how anyone looks at it, is often looked at as a financial superpower. Our dollar is used and against other currencies for stability. With our economic and political environment being this volatile, with Trump almost getting, taken out of here, it is going to cause a lot of volatility in the market where, depending on where you're at, you can actually make some money off of it, right? But even looking on from a global stage standpoint, economies internationally are in a lot of distress, not just our own. China had a lot of banks just went bankrupt, right? There's places like I just came from Jamaica, a lot of birth rates are declining globally. Inflation is happening everywhere. So I just want to put everyone onto that information, because what that was already going on, but what is happening over here is certainly going to affect people willing to invest in America, invest in American stock markets and companies. Our president and whoever sits in that seat, people have to have the perception that we have strength, that we have power. So that's probably why Trump threw his little white fist up, even though it's supposed to be black fist, threw his little white fist up to say that he's strong. Now, on the other side of that, people can say, wow, Trump is like a cockroach. Like, he is not going to die no matter what happens, right? Compared to Biden, who can't keep a sentence and thought running together. And who would, from a strength or international power standpoint, would be better sitting in that seat. I don't want to pass judgment on, but those are some thoughts that are playing around. Needless to say, to wrap this up, who we have and who is displaying strength is going to greatly impact the financial markets. Right now, we're kind of all over the place, and depending on what you know how to do, you can make money off of that chaos, but it does not reflect greatly on us. And I do anticipate, as we trudge along to November, that volatility will still occur.
We are definitely going to see this and immediately. Today's Monday, so we're going to start seeing our markets. We should really be paying attention to what's going on in that as well, because there are definitely other countries that could benefit from this. If no one knows, China is going through a hell of a lot over there, and a lot of the stuff are closing, and no one is talking about it. Remember,
China, Ghana as well. And I also want to say, Trunk's stock has gone up since this has happened. But
that typically happens after something like this. His merchandise goes up, anything like that goes up. I do want to address a couple of our comments, and then, this is such a big topic. I'm sure we're not going to be able to discuss everything today, but we are definitely hitting some serious points. I do want to say something about someone who said that bad to us because they said gun control is racist. I don't see how gun control is racist. A bullet doesn't care about anybody's color. Period.
That's a killer Mike talking point.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a bot, but you know what? Probably not want to stay with us anyway. So
listen, the name alone just let you know.
Right? You didn't even listen to it. You didn't even listen
Say
to
no to no taps, honey. The no taps gotta go. Say no to no taps.
That's right. So we have T, who also said, watching the events after, media coverage shows Trump out of the window waving and chanting to those passing by. He was not in fear of his life. There's a lot of things going on, people, about him getting up immediately and pumping his fist, talking about fight, fight, fight. And a lot of the people are asking, fight what? Like, what are you from? I will say this. You will do anything when adrenaline is going through your system. Sometimes you say things after something is done that you're like, did I say that? So I'm not going to judge the fact that that's what he got up and did, because I don't know. My adrenaline might have had me say something else. Coondog says, we know the real wealth comes in ownership, but they always pull a pandemic when we start achieving something for our community. Very interesting. Michaela says, laws change won't do a thing. Man's heart needs changing. That's very interesting. T also says, my question is, why did they not play the audio from the video? Without the audio, the media had the advantage of guiding the mind of the masses. Very interesting. Now, I want to say one more thing. The gunman, Thomas Matthew Crooks' father, said that he was confused about the shooting of Donald Trump's rally. He said his son's involvement in the matter was confusing to him. And then someone asked earlier in the chat, will his parents be charged? Well, this young man was 20 20. He at 18, you're considered an adult. So I don't think his parents will ever have to face any charges for that. I think they're just as confused about what happened as well. And God knows I feel for them. But I want to also pause before we move on, because we are talking about Trump. But guys, we lost people at this rally. People died. So whether you think that it was staged or not, lives were lost. And that is one thing I don't want any media to ever not talk about, including this channel, that people died. And we must have some type of respect for humanity on that happening. Whether you like the man or not, whether you think the man was shot or not, someone else did die. And that's just simply the case. I want to ask you, Lindsay, what role do you think public figures and influencers play in this? Because our president did come out, President Biden immediately came out and then shunned what happened immediately and called Trump many times before he got him to express his concern for him. That is our president. But how do you think a lot of these other big right and left come out, influence what we think?
So that's actually a great question, because Biden doing that shows what everybody needs to do as a leader. Whenever, unless you agree with what the people are doing, that's something different. But anytime there is a mass media situation going on and someone doesn't speak, that can say a lot. When they do speak, that can say a lot. And if you are against this violence, then speak up, check on the other people. But we know that Trump often incites violence, like him shouting, fight, 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 and then January 6th incident. So the tail follows the head, right? And we have to remember what we're putting out there, people will follow. When we have a big platform, we have a responsibility to make sure that the things that we are doing is in alignment with our words, our actions, our values, because people will look to us. There are 3 different types of people out here that I like to say. There's ones that blindly follow the media. They don't care if it's true. They don't care if you said the sky was green today and raining chocolate chips. They're going to believe it because they blindly follow everything. And then you have the opposite end where people are like, nope, I don't believe anything. Nope, nope, nope. Everything is a lie. We got to have that healthy balance in the middle where we understand there's some truth, but there's also some falsehoods, and doing our own due diligence of what is real and what is correct, which we talked about a little bit earlier in this show. We have to make sure that we're looking at reputable references, reputable sources, that we're looking at both sides of the fence and not just all bias on one side, and doing the research that we need to find the facts and the truth, and making sure that those are the only things that we're following. But kudos to Biden for shunning the violence, the white on white violence, if you will. Because if you haven't noticed, the media has not called this man a terrorist like they would if he had brown skin of any sort. That goes to the comment where somebody was saying, you know, greed and fear mongering is what we put out there, and the media controls the narrative. So it's awfully funny that he ain't been dubbed a terrorist in this white on white crime.
Well, the FBI doesn't sub homegrown terrorists as terrorists. I had a very spirited conversation with an FBI PIO, and they don't do that. They like to separate it.
Mm. That's a really interesting take. But as we're talking about FBI and Secret Service, before we get into that, because it's going to be deep too. Guys, if you're just not joining us, you have joined Fly Nubian Money. And as you can see, we have a spirited conversation going on. We are talking about things that affect us all as Americans. Patriot doesn't just belong to one side. We are all patriots. And regardless of what we feel, we have the right to feel that in America. We are expressing that today. So we would love to hear your comments, your thoughts. Keep putting them in the chats because they're valid as well. And if you don't want to miss any of our shows, it's very simple. All you have to do is text the word Queens, QUEENS, to 87948, and you'll be notified when we go live. And we're live every day, Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you just happen to miss it, you always can catch us on Spotify. So please make sure that you go over there and you download our show, give us 5 stars and share that out as well. So let's dig into that, guys. Let's dig into the fact that, where was Secret Service? What happened? We all know that they go and scope these things out many days and many hours again to prevent things like this. Why do you think this was so easy for this young man to get on this roof with such a clear shot is freaking frightening to me. Erica, I want to hear your thoughts on that.
To be honest with you, this was lackadaisical security. Let's just call it what it is and be honest. Clearly, this wasn't thorough. This place wasn't thoroughly vetted. I don't know if this had been a location where Trump had done rallies before. I know usually his rallies are in rural areas and usually just kind of off the beaten path, and it's easy to scout out and scope. But you just never know. You have to check every nook and cranny, and it just seems as if security's response time, I've never been in that situation where I have to protect someone and then you hear bullets and then you jump and then you have to protect and cover. I've never been in that position, thank goodness. But I am saying it does seem like there was a slight delay of response. It's almost like everybody was caught off guard because they were, I don't know, sunbathing or just chilling or vibing or in their own world. There does seem like it was a delayed response. How this young man seemed to have gotten up on that roof is mind-boggling. I did see images of that area, and it's like, well, how did he get up there? But now it leads you to think also, did he have help? Did someone help him? And we don't know if there was a second, third, or fourth party that we don't know anything about, because it really seemed as if, like, how did he get up here? Was he up there the whole time? Did anyone not check? It's just a lot of unanswered questions. And over the period of time, hopefully we can, as we are researching and reading, we can kind of get down to that, because I don't think this is the end of it. It just seems like, to me, like he may have had some help and, somebody just dropped the ball. It just seems like security just was not on top of the game.
And here's my thoughts. A lot of the times we find out that the enemy is within. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this comes about. And this is, like I said, one of the reasons I'm not speaking out too much about this, because I want to sit back and see how things unfold. But there's some other interesting facts that have actually come out about this shooter. Ain't no alleged. We know that this was the shooter. They say this is a comment, C. White. They say this young 20-year-old was bullied by his community, but just maybe he had the mentality overwhelming for this young person too. A lot of times that can fall into the case where they want to make a change, or they feel like they'll get the attention. Maybe he didn't think that he would be taken out for this. Sometimes you never know what people are really thinking. Jay Gamble says, I find it ironic that Trump has been putting out into the atmosphere that if he wanted to, he could order SEAL Team 6 to murder his ops. Then he said that Biden called for the FBI to take him out. I find that very interesting too, and that is a true statement. He has said things of that nature. And even when Biden went on social media shunning this act, Trump finally did post something under his comments talking about America Unite. And that's all that he said. We don't know what tone that was, because you could take reading any tone that you want to take it when you read things. Ladies, this is very upsetting, period. So my question to you is, how, as an American, when we know that we are so terribly divided, and we're seeing more division on that, and you see it every day, and I'm pretty sure you're seeing it in your communities. I see it in my communities very closely, which is frightening. How do you handle, as an American, this situation, and how you're going to move forward with your conversations to your families and your communities? So I'm going to start with you, Marlo.
The same conversation that I always have. All politics are local, right? Don't get sucked into the vortex of national politics. The effect on your life in terms of what a president does is a fraction of what your school board is doing. If you are worried about Project 2025, you need to be electing sensible people to your city council, to your state house, to your school district, because I assure you that the people who love Project 2025, the people who want that, they want nothing more than us to have a religious state of government. Those people are running for those small offices. Those people are going to win in certain communities. So I think for me, I'm always going to tell people, like, this is unfortunate. People lost their lives, but all politics is local. Donald Trump doesn't matter if your local school board or Joe Biden or Barack Obama, none of them matters if you have people elected to your school board that are making sure that kids have junior college opportunities, they have university opportunities, they have work opportunities. That is what they should be doing. So I'm going to say to everybody today, get your eyes off of CNN, MSNBC, whatever that is. Pay attention to local. Find out who sits on the school board in your district. Vet those people. Are they going to be on the ballot in November? Who sits on your council, your city council, your state legislature? Who represents you? Are they representing you? Start asking questions that make sense, y'all, because y'all, we love to worry about a big old boogeyman that we can't see. All the while, things are being undone at the local level, and that tells the feds that it's going to be good to go at the federal level. So I need everybody to focus. Where you live, Peoria, Chicago, Miami, Dallas, I don't care. Pay attention to your local scene, and that clown show is going to work itself out in Washington, D.C., because you're going to work it out, because you're going to be paying attention. But all of the things that we cry about and we hate and we wonder and we feel so hopeless and so helpless, it starts with us neglecting local elections. Who's the judge? Who's the DA? Who's your constable? Who are the people that are evicting people? Who's the sheriff, right? Pay attention to that, y'all. It is time.
The dog catcher. All the way down to the dog catcher.
Everybody, right? Because if you're not for euthanasia, you want to make sure you get a dog catcher that's not going to have a euthanasia kennel that they're running, right? Pay attention. Get out of the Real Housewives. Get out of the Real Housewives of Donald Trump world. Get out of the Joe Biden knees is creaking, because my knees are creaking too. Get into what is going on locally, y'all, because that is where the American people will win and lose. Small grassroots things done during the 60s are how we got the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. It was small, local level that got the attention of Washington, D.C. It wasn't happening in Washington, D.C., and then the locals picked up on it. Do what you got to do in your home space to make things better for you and your family. And what's going on in Washington, D.C. will reflect that.
I'll remind you right here, this is a major election year. This isn't just for presidentials. You are looking for congressmen, your senators, your everything. And you need to be aware that this is not just a presidential ballot that's coming up. You need to make sure that you're aware of who you're voting for, who's behind that, and if they stand for you or not. Marlo, I didn't get to say, but please tell us where we can find you.
I am out here in these internet streets. You can read my works. You can watch my works under my name, Marlo Layson, or you can follow me on Instagram. I am Oram Marlo. That's my name, backward and forward _
Thank you. Now, Lindsay, I'm going to toss it to you. Same question that I had. How are you going to take this information and what you have, or how are you going to process it with your family and your community? And then give us your final thoughts and where we can find you.
Yeah, so I agree a lot with what Marlo said about being mindful of everything happening at the local level and really understanding. I try to stay out of politics and I don't follow the news. I stopped watching the news years ago as a part of my own self-care, because 75% of the news is mostly negative, and what you feed is what you create in your reality. And it's not that I'm blind to it. I go and research what I need to research, especially when it comes time to electing officials and things like that. So I practice my self-care by staying away from all of that and doing my due diligence on the back end with what I need to know. And I will continue to, help my family through these times and help them learn how to navigate mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and how can you protect your safe space amongst all the chaos going on around us. So All I can say is for everyone to do your due diligence, because we know that the media likes to control certain narratives of certain situations and how they want it to spin. We know that AI is out there. We know that great video editing is out there. So a clip or a photo can be made to look like something completely different. So always do your due diligence on finding out, is this something fake or is it real? As much as you can, obviously. And just protect your peace. Protect your peace however you need that to be. My name is Lindsay Bertner. I'm an international mindset coach and speaker, and you can find me at liveafirstclasslife.com.
Thank you, Lindsay. Same question posed to you, Athena. How are you going to be able to communicate or change your thoughts about this, and how are you going to deal with your community, and how are you going to protect your peace? Where can we find you?
Okay, so I thought a lot about this question. How am I going to protect my peace? I've already started implementing these things. So one is limit my social media, not just because of the chaos around Trump and the election, but in general, I feel like social media has us focusing on things in a negative way. And I just felt like it's better for my mental health to do that. So disassociating myself from any kind of negativity, any news, social media like that. Two, creating a solid financial plan. So I'm revising my financial plan, and I'm actually going live on my YouTube channel about the financial Hunger Games and how to help people to prepare. So if you guys are interested in that, that will be 6 p.m. today on my new Eastern Standard Time on my YouTube channel. And also focusing on the issues that, are pertinent to me and the solution for that. So for example, I'm a woman with everything coming down the pipeline, issues of reproductive health, firearms, those type of things. So I've been looking into how I'm going to manage those things. And also I already have a firearm, thank Hashalaboya, my Smith and Wesson, honey. So, so I'm good with that, but I encourage you guys to learn about gun safety and learn how to properly utilize those, and make sure you go through the appropriate channels for that as well. Last but not least, everybody, these are turbulent times. Lean into your support, lean into your community, and develop a community if you do not have one. I have definitely made a point to expand my community this year because I realize that support is needed for not only for your mental health, but to survive things that are coming down the chain, honey, because we're doing a show tomorrow on Project 2025. And listen, if you are trying to be a lone wolf out here, you will be gobbled up, okay? My name is Athena Gardner. I'm the founder of We Wealth Women. You can go to my website, wewealthwomen.com, if you want to live your best wealthy goddess life. At We Wealth Women for all my social media, including my YouTube, if you want to check out my YouTube channel, and the We Wealth podcast if you want to listen to me on the go on Apple, iHeart, and Spotify. I love you guys.
Love it. Love it. And we do have a couple more comments before I hit you, Erica. I want to call these comments up. C. White says they are taking application to change the administration in every state of government. This is actually going to hit on, guys, what we're talking about tomorrow. This is not a teaser. This is the mark it on your calendar, because we are going to be talking about Project 2025. You must be loyal to him, and he has those people in the states already to hire. They already have a list of people who they want to put into these roles. And Jay Gamble says, even by electing like-minded local and state reps, money from the educational department trickles down from the federal government. Local schools get fed money for students having their butts in seats. Yes, that's very much true. And that is also a part of what we'll be discussing tomorrow. And we continue to love these comments. So please make sure that you put those in there. Erica, I'm going to throw that question that I had to you. How is this going to affect the way you have communication with your family and communities? And what are you going to be doing to protect your peace? Where can we find you?
Protecting peace, I say let's start getting prepared. Being prepared for the unknown. We're not ready. We're not ready. What if another 9/11 happens again? What if something else of that magnitude happens again? We are just not ready. We talked earlier about history repeating itself. If history repeats itself with some of the things that we've seen over the last 20, 30, and 40 years ago, with where we are today, we are less prepared today than what the people were 20, 30, 40 years ago for those events. Let's get ready. Have adequate food in your house. Have adequate water. Build a community. Get to know your neighbors. You'd be surprised at the people that we live next door to people and we don't even know who they are. This is not a time, as you said, to be a lone wolf. This is not a time to I don't like them because they play their music loud. No, they need to know you, and you need to know them. And really, you do need to know who your neighbors are because of the times that we are living in. I'm sorry, it's real hot where I am and I'm sweating. But I'm definitely going to have my head on a swivel. I am taking a break from social media. I need to take a break. I usually do a lot of deep dive and reading because reading and writing is my thing. And I am going to take a little bit of a break and do less deep diving and rabbit hole trolling. But if you want to keep up with me, you can find me on all the socials at Miss Erica Renee. And you can also find me on my website at faithintransition.com.
Thank you. And Armando said he had to pop in and out. He's one of our watchers. He said, but you ladies rock. You are the truth. We appreciate you being here, and we appreciate your comments and always jumping in and supporting us as well. A lot of the comments are saying thank you because it was a great talk and great information. And that's what we love. We like to be able to give you different perspectives from different sides within our own community. And we really love that. So here are my final thoughts. I have a lot of final thoughts, but I'm going to put them down kind of a little bit and scrunch them up. If you are absolutely outraged about what has happened to Trump, then I'm going to need you to take that outrage when it happens in our schools, period. This is not just a one-time thing for one person. We also have to take into account what's happening in our communities. So put your outrage where your outrage needs to be, but then put action behind that, because without action, baby, all you're doing is raging for no reason and nothing will ever get done. So I'm sure that we'll find out more things about this event that has happened. I think it has angered, and it shows also how we can either come together or continue to be divided. It's going to be up to us to make that choice. And I am Laura Key. I'm an international real estate agent, and you can find me on all social media platforms. Very easy. Just go to this site and you'll find me everywhere. bit.ly/Laura Key Info. We thank you for joining us today. You've been watching Fly Nubian Money. We're here Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you don't want to miss an episode, all you have to do is text the word Queens, QUEENS, to 87948. Then go on and download us on Spotify and take us wherever you go. We could be there for your morning coffee, your evening tea, your long commute on your drive. So make sure you go on over there and do that. And then if you want to get your money right, because things are always volatile, you never know what's going to happen. If you want to get it right and tight, please go visit our website at flynubianmoney.com. We have a lot of beautiful resources and classes for you there that you can take to help get your financial house in order. And finally, guys, if you want to be a part of the conversation and be a guest, all you have to do is to email us. And that's at info@realvirtual.net, info@REELVIRTUAL.net. What a great conversation, Queens. I love spending time with you. And I am so glad that you're here today. Please, guys, make sure you mark your calendar for tomorrow's show, because it took a while before Project 2025 got gas behind it, where people are starting to realize what it is, but we're actually going to delve into it tomorrow. So don't just watch it for yourself. Share the information and come get educated. We thank you for your time, and we'll see you tomorrow. Queens, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye.